The 14th Dalai Lama and the Anatomy of Politically Correct Buddhism, a multimedia presentation, Lesson 9B, based upon Stephen's chapter in Westmont University Professor Inross, A Guide to New Religious Movements, published by InterVarsity Press in 2005. Granted, Buddhism is not the only voice of Hollywood, as many stars have spoken up for their faith in Jesus Christ, such as Denzel Washington and Mel Gibson, who spent his own funds to put together the blockbuster film The Passion, about the final days of Jesus. However, the permanent Babylonian Gate on Hollywood may symbolically paint a darker side to the industry that must be challenged. The gate, patterned after the set used in the film Intolerance by D.W. Griffith, physically demonstrates an ancient religion that used to sacrifice children to its gods to gain power. Notice that it is on a direct ley line from the old Freemasonry Center on the south to the Hollywood sign in the distance. Is there some dark magic at work here? Are we indiscriminately sacrificing or submitting our children's minds to a darker design? Should we not protect their eye gates to their most valuable asset, their minds and imagination? The following brief tour may be disturbing. I don't doubt the entertainment value of the following films, but encourage parents and those who view the films to be discerning about the underlying messages being subtly introduced to the brilliant minds in the entertainment industry. At the same time, one must appreciate the noble dedication of actors such as Jet Li, who desires to help those suffering in China in light of the spate of awful suicides. Because of the public nature of the film industry, Hollywood personalities' spiritual lives are often the subject of talk show hosts and the tabloids. From Tom Cruise and his role as a global advocate for Scientology, to Mel Gibson and his confession of faith as a believer in Jesus Christ in producing The Passion, Buddhists are no less vocal. Richard Gere is one of the Dalai Lama's largest supporters. Jim Carrey played a role as a pet detective who was studying in the Himalayas at a Buddhist monastery. Steven Seagal, the Hollywood martial arts star, is known to be a reincarnation of a Tibetan master. Sharon Stone has hosted the Dalai Lama at her home. Philip Glass, a Tibetan Buddhist, composed for Kundun, written by Melissa Matheson, formerly the wife of Harrison Ford, who recently did some voiceover work for the Dalai Lama and the Free Tibet movement. Courtney Love, a Tibetan Buddhist and wife of the late Kurt Cobain of Nirvana, recently received help from Orlando Bloom, Legolas of Lord of the Rings, who himself is a convert to Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism out of Japan. Fellow member Goldie Hawn crosses Buddhist denominational lines with no problem, as she hosted the Dalai Lama in Vancouver, Canada. The internationally popular prime-time cartoon series The Simpsons focus on little Lisa's disillusionment with the materialism in her parents' home church and her subsequent conversion to Tibetan Buddhism, all but on its Christmas special. She meets two of the locals, Lenny and Carl, at the Springfield Buddhist temple and exclaims, "I didn't know you were Buddhist." Then Richard Gere, raking sand in a Zen garden, pipes up and makes a pitch for Free Tibet, hands her a primer on Buddhism, which she takes home and reads out loud in the privacy of her bedroom. After her epiphany, she yells out her bedroom window, "I'm a Buddhist!" It's really quite a sad indictment against the church. It struck me as Fellini flick strange in that I recall during my former days as a Buddhist playing in a Buddhist brass band marching around in Santa Claus outfits at the LA County Museum for Mayor Yorty's Christmas party. John Altshuler, the producer and writer for King of the Hill, who I met at the first International Buddhist Film Festival, hosted by the LA County Museum of Art, told me that his idea for this particular episode came to him independently about the same time as the Simpsons Christmas special. He was given a book on the Buddha by his wife and ended up writing a satire for an episode he nicknamed He Ain't Heavy, He's My Buddha. In this episode, the Hill's only child, Bobby, is recognized as an American reincarnation of the Lama Sanglug by immigrant monks, putting his father, Hank, through great angst as he unsuccessfully attempts to explain his Methodist worldview to his son. Ever so subtly, and sometimes blatantly, Buddhism slips in uninvited to comfortable living rooms across America via mainstream media.